God bless you, FMD family. My name is Pastor Jonathan Rivera, and I have the privilege of being the District Youth Director for the Florida Multicultural District. And I just want to take a second to say thank you. For the past year, it's been a great pleasure for us and our team to serve our superintendent, our executives, our presbytery, and also all of our FMD churches. For those of you that don't know, what is FMD? FMD is a family. Pastor Abner, our superintendent, always says this, that we are one church, one family. 200 churches across the state of Florida are part of this great network, this great fellowship, this family that we call FMD. And then I get to be a part of something called FMD Youth, which is a family of youth ministries and students across the state of Florida that are part of this thing called FMD Youth. Last night, I had the privilege to have a Zoom call with about 60 youth leaders and pastors from across our district talking about the future, talking about everything that God did in 2021, and also talking about everything that God's going to do in 2022. So what I want to do really quick is just celebrate a few things that we did and then talk about the future. Last night we had a vision night, and I thought, you know what, I want everyone to be able to enjoy it. So this is a vision video where we're going to talk about celebrating what God did in the past and getting excited about what God's going to do in the future. Because of the pandemic and me coming in as my first year as DYD last year, we couldn't have all the events that we wanted to or have the events the way that we always have had them. So we got creative. For example, we had a fine arts event. Normally this is a weekend event or a one day at a church or at a hotel. We couldn't do that. So what we did was we did fine arts in different sections throughout our state, and more than 500 people showed up and hundreds of students got to participate in it. We even had a student who won a National Award of Merit at the National Youth Convention. And so that was incredible. Normally we have a 3 or 4 day camp at Southeastern University, but we couldn't do that because of COVID protocols. So we did a 1 day summer conference where more than 800 people showed up to our summer conference, and we raised $13,000 for Speed the Light. We had a young adult retreat on the beach in St. Augustine. It was powerful. We had new birth worship. We had some incredible speakers, and we had a great time on the beach. And then last but not least, we had our youth convention at Faith Assembly of God. We had Maverick City Musica, Pastor Gabby Mejia, all kinds of incredible stuff happened. And we had over 800 young people show up, and more than $23,000 was raised for Speed the Light. Here's the big message. God has been faithful. God has been good in spite of a pandemic, in spite of having to get creative, in spite of not having the things that we would normally do. God's been faithful every step of the way. And we know that if God did it in 2021, he's going to do it in 2022. So that's what I'm really excited about. Let's talk about 2022. In 2021, our superintendent came up with these 3 values, these things that are really important to us, and we're going to take them with us into 2022. If you were to take a knife and cut FMD open and say, what's it all about? What do we bleed? It's these 3 words: resource, relationship, and renewal. Number 1, we want to be a resource. We want to help you. FMD is here to serve the local church. We are not a local church. We exist to serve and facilitate and to help the local church. Whatever that looks like. Our events are for you. They are a resource for your church. We have all kinds of free resources that we want to give. Small group curriculum and message outlines and social media packages. Every training that we do online through Zoom or through Facebook. All the different things that are going to come. We're going to talk a little bit about. Everything that we do is to resource you. Whether you're a pastor, a leader, a youth pastor, a student, a young adult, or a local church. We're here to be a resource. Number 2, we want to build relationships. My goal is to travel the entire state of Florida visiting churches and pastors and leaders so that you know this one thing: you are not by yourself. Sometimes as a pastor, you don't know who you can talk to. You don't know who you can have conversations with. Or sometimes even as a Christian in the post-Christian culture that we live in, sometimes you can feel like you're by yourself. But when you show up to youth camp at Southeastern University, or when you walk into youth convention at Faith Assembly of God, what you remember is, I'm not the only one. We're here to build relationships and to grow and strengthen this FMD family. We want to be a resource. We want to build relationships. And last but not least, we want to see spiritual renewal take place across our state. Me as a DYD and as a former youth pastor, the one thing that I always want was for my students to have an encounter with God, to grow in their relationship with God, to become more like Jesus, and to understand the mission and the purpose and the plan that God had for their life so that they can live out the life that Jesus has called them to. I want to see spiritual renewal take place in our churches, in our cities, in our communities, and in our state. That's what we want to see. We're here to be a resource. We're here to build relationships, and we are here to experience spiritual renewal. That's what we are all about. And when I say we, it's very important that you know that I mean we. I don't do this by myself. As much as I love being a district youth director, I know that it takes a team to move a vision. And so we have a team of people all across the state of Florida that are here to serve you, to serve your church, and to serve the vision that God has placed on your life. We have 10 sections across the state of Florida, starting in Miami, section 1, all the way to Gainesville, section 10. And so every section has a sectional leader. So if you're a youth pastor, if you're a youth leader, if you're a senior pastor, whoever's watching this, you have a sectional coach that is there to serve you, to help you, to encourage you, to resource you, and to give you everything that you need to be a part of this FMD family. We also have directors, and we even have some positions that are available. Maybe one day that could be you. We have Speed the Light directors. We have AIM directors. We have Fine Arts directors. We have a registration director. We have people who are ready and excited to serve you. And last but not least, we've got our assistant DYDs, Jackie and Jaciel Galarza. They're youth pastors and associate pastors in Lakeland, Florida at Iglesia Vida Victoriosa. And me and all of our team, we're here to serve you. With that being said, let's go to the next thing. Speed the Light. Some of you might be familiar with Speed the Light. Some of you might not. Speed the Light is an organization where young people fund ministry and missionaries across the world. If a missionary wants to go and change the world, wants to preach the gospel, wants to go to a country or to work with a certain group of people, what Speed the Light does is gets young people to fund those projects and give them whatever they need to accomplish that goal, to speed the light of the gospel. In 2021, we worked with an organization called Free International that rescues and restores people who are in sex trafficking, creates opportunities for education, for rescue, for restoration, getting back into society after they've gone through that process of abuse. Whatever the case is, Free International is there to serve them. And I'm excited to say that in the year 2021, that was our project. And we as a district gave $92,000 towards the ministry of Speed the Light to be able to serve ministries like Free International. We were able to help them to purchase a trailer that they will be using all across the United States to rescue and restore lives out of sex trafficking. That's what God did in 2021, and we're so excited about that. Our goal was $100,000, and the fact that we were only $8,000 away speaks volumes. What I think it says is that we can actually do more. So our goal in 2021 was $100,000. Our goal in 2022 is going to be $125,000. Some people might hear that and say, well, that's a lot of money. How are we supposed to do that? I'm a believer that if a lot of people do a little bit, we actually do a lot. Man, if there's a bunch of churches who stand in front of their congregation on a Sunday morning and say, hey, is there 10 people in this room who will give $100 towards missions? Man, is there 10 young people who are willing to give $10 for 10 months so that as a church we can raise $1,000? If there's a church out there that's willing to do 3 or 4 car washes, maybe sell some empanadas or some hot dogs or some pinchos, get the money so we can help missionaries across the world. I think we can hit that goal. This year, our particular project is actually with an organization called World Serve International. What World Serve does is it actually for over 30 years has been working to build water wells all over the world. Because of water, an estimated 790 million people are living without access to clean drinking water. 790 million. Even more so, about 1.8 billion people are living without improved sanitation practices. Women and children spend an estimated 200 million hours daily collecting contaminated and unsafe water, leading to nearly 2,000 child deaths every single day due to the waterborne illnesses. People all over the world don't have clean drinking water, and World Serve is saying we want to do something about that. So what World Serve International is doing is they're actually planting water wells in Kenya, in Tanzania, and other places throughout Africa, and even in the United States. For example, in Navajo Nation, right here in our backyard, they are planting water wells close to churches and religious organizations and nonprofits so that the church can be a part of fighting the water crisis around the world. This is the project that we're taking as a district this year in 2022, and we want to raise $125,000 for Speed the Light. We raised $92,000 in 2021, and I believe that in this year, 2022, we can help to fight the water crisis, and we could be a part of making a difference. We can get students to get into generosity and get into trying to change the world. What I want you to know is that Speed the Light is not just about money. It's not just about dollar amounts. It's not just about goals. It's not even just about the mission that we're trying to accomplish. An even greater byproduct is that students around the country are learning that it's better to give than to receive. That in a world and in a culture that is self-centered, we're teaching young people that it's better to think about the other than think about yourself. Generosity does something powerful in the life of a person. And if you want to change the life of a young person, get them to start giving. Because like the Bible says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so that is our Speed the Light project for 2022, and we hope that you will be a part of what we're doing with serving World Serve International and helping the water crisis. Next thing I want to talk about is our events. Events are a huge part of what we do in FMD Youth. These events are not for us. These events, we create every single one of them intentionally and specifically for you, for your church, and for your students. So there's a couple of events that I want to let you know about that are coming up that I hope that you can be a part of. First event is Momentum. The reason why we call it that is because that's what we want to create in the life of your church and the life of your ministry. Momentum. And so February 17th, 18th, and 19th, we'll be in Lakeland, Florida at Southeastern University. And I encourage you, if you're a youth pastor, if you're a youth leader, get to Momentum. It's going to be a time that's going to be refreshing, encouraging, and it's going to create momentum in your ministry. Next thing is this: if you are a youth pastor or youth leader, maybe you're even a children's pastor or leader, the National Office of the Assemblies of God on March 14th through the 16th is holding a Next Gen conference in Orlando, Florida at Faith Assembly of God. All kinds of speakers and leaders from across the country are coming together to talk about what's happening in the next generation. If you want more info on that, go to ag.org and look up Next Gen Conference. Now, let's talk about youth ministry. One of our favorite events that we do every year is our Fine Arts Festival. And so we're coming back with a one-day, in-person, everybody together Fine Arts Festival in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be at the Potter's House, CDA Orlando. We're going to give you more information on social media, so make sure to follow that. But I want you to know that registration is open. If you want your students to discover, develop, and deploy their gifts for the glory of God and for the betterment of the church, I encourage you, sign them up for Fine Arts. We're already working on judges and categories and everything that's going to take place. We're going to start at 9 a.m. in the morning, and then throughout the day we'll have competition, and at night we'll finish off with a celebration service. If you're taking notes, April 23rd is going to be our one-day Fine Arts Festival, and we want you to be a part of it. Last year, we didn't get to have our youth camp like we always do all together at Southeastern University, but I got some good news. We're going back to SEU. Let's go. And so, July 28th through the 30th, we're going to be at Southeastern University for 3 days for our camp, which is themed Tent Revival. I know me as a youth pastor and even as a DYD, one of my greatest desires is that students would have an encounter with God. The students would be filled with the Holy Spirit and then launched out into their mission. And so I want to encourage you, get them to youth camp. Very soon we're going to have more details on speakers, worship bands, all kinds of activities that will be taking place, and we want you to be a part of it. Also, there's something that's not necessarily an event, but is very key and important for us at FMD Youth. And this is our mission trips. Some pastors and leaders want to go on a mission trips, but they don't know how. They don't have the connections. They don't have the resources. They don't know how to organize it. We want to be a part of that. We want you to come with us on a mission trip this year. We actually have 2 mission trips that we're planning. One that's going to be domestic and another one that's going to be foreign, okay? The domestic trip that we're going to be taking is actually here in the state of Florida in the swamps of Ocala. The pricing is looking that's going to be less than $200, including all lodging and food and activities and mission for an entire week. This is a great kind of starter mission trip for a student that's never been on one, and very soon we'll be giving more information about our foreign mission trip. We've still got 2 other events that we're trying to figure out locations and details and speakers, which is our young adult retreat and our youth convention in the fall. And as soon as we have more details, we'll give those to you guys. But those are our events that we're doing. We've got Momentum, we've got Next Gen Conference, our Fine Arts Festival, Youth Camp, and we've got our 2 mission trips that we've got going on. Last but not least, I just want to throw some random stuff that we're going to be doing this year that we want to get started. Number 1, we want to start a Next Gen podcast. Our hope is that we could be a resource to you, not only at an event, but even when you're home, at the gym, on the ride to work in the morning. We want to give you content and resources and tools more than anything else so that you can accomplish the ministry that God's calling you to accomplish in your city, in your context. And so in the month of March, we're going to be starting a Next Gen podcast where we're going to be bringing in different pastors, different leaders to pour into us and teach us more about what it means to be a Next Gen leader. Next thing, we have students all across our district and even some leaders who are passionate about gaming. You got people streaming on Twitch, you got people in tournaments, all kinds of stuff going on, and we want to get into the gaming space. So stay tuned for FMD Gaming. We want people playing 2K, Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros, whatever the case is. We just want people to be living in community and knowing that they are not by themselves. If you are a woman in ministry or you know young women in ministry who say, I have a calling, I have a purpose, I know God's called me specifically, but I don't always have the resources available to me. I love my senior pastors, I love my leaders, but man, I wish there were some women who are in ministry who could teach me and show me the way and show me how do I go from where I am to where God wants me to be. And so this year, we want to create a woman in ministry cohort. A few times throughout the year, we want to get young women who are passionate about ministry and get some women leaders from our district to pour into them, love them, and be intentional with their process and with their growth. And last but not least, I want to talk about something called Called. We talked about this last year a little bit, but this year we really want to get this off the ground. If there are young people in your church, in your ministry who sense a call of God into the ministry, we want to be a part of that process and we want to help them to accomplish that. We want students to know that not only are they called, but we also want them to feel equipped. And so, man, if you've got students who are called and they have a calling to ministry and they want to get equipped in that call, we want to be part of that process. And very soon, we're going to share how we want to do that. And so, FMD, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for being a part of what we do as a ministry and as a youth department. We want you to know we're here to be a resource. We're here to build relationships, and we're here to see spiritual renewal across the state of Florida. I hope that this video is helpful and informative. Please know that you can reach out to us. Reach out to me at dyd@fmdag.org. If you want to get in touch with our department, you can reach out to youth@fmdag.org. And last but not least, if you are a leader, I want you to text the number 407-974-5485 with the word leader. And we want to be a part of your process. We want to resource you, give you everything that you need to be able to accomplish God's plan for your church and for your life. We love you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys later.